This week's video is for all of my entrepreneurs and business owners who love their weekly tarot readings and you really, really want to work on your leadership and development skills and feel really good about growing in your role as a business owner, but you don't need the love and romance readings, and you definitely aren't looking for a cliched money reading. Money's a big part of business. It is not the only thing in business. It's actually more of a symptom and a reflection of what's actually going on in your world. And that's what we cover inside of the readings that I send out every single week to my newsletter list. So there's a free reading that comes out every Saturday. And if you want that, you can subscribe through the link that's in the show notes below this video. And if you want to get the extended readings, you get anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes worth of readings every single week. On a Sunday, you can consume them anytime you want. There's no rush, and you can ask me questions in there. I will deliver more readings for you based on the things that you ask for, which is what our community has been doing for, drumroll please, over a year. I looked at the calendar and I realized, oh my goodness, we hit our 1-year anniversary of sending this paid newsletter. I've been sending free readings for a lot longer than that, but about a year ago, I decided it was time to welcome in some people into a higher level space. Lately, this list has been growing a lot faster. And so I thought it would be really fun, sort of a retrospective, to go through all of the videos, pull some really great clips, and point out to you how much the readings that get channeled in a really productive space can become timeless messages for you. In this week's video, you're going to get some of the best channeled nuggets of wisdom that have come through, and you can enjoy these whenever you want. If you hear these readings and you discover, you know what, that's really what I've been looking for, the link to join the paid newsletter is also in the show notes below this video. And you can subscribe this year in the year of 2024 for the rate of $19 per month for the whole month. You can come and go when you want from your subscription, just like Netflix. Super easy, super fun, and I will see you over inside your timeless tarot readings just for business. The Empress is just really reminding you of that big archetypal life path overarching energy where it's like, it's time. I mean, it makes sense. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're in the spring season. I know I've got a few of you who are in the Southern Hemisphere, but collectively in the energy, it's kind of hard not to feel that feeling of birthing new projects, of being able to, even like these stars are coming in through her crown, like channeling the new thing. I just feel like there's a lot of change afoot for a lot of us, and a lot of it is because of the release. When you release, kind of like when you clean out your closet and you go take the, things you don't need to Goodwill to donate, you have space now. For someone saying with that image, for some of you, you're not meant to fill the space back up again. You're meant to kind of let it settle. And I don't know if they still work with you, but they came in and they basically implemented an entire system, and you're just like, oh my God, I feel like this puppet all the time. And I don't know why I'm doing this anymore. I don't know why I did it in the first place. I don't like it. I never liked it. And it's delivered you results enough. You've gotten your return on investment on it for sure. So it's kind of like, well, but if it makes me money, then I guess I might as well keep it. But you feel ick about it. You don't really like the audience that is served by that isn't your dream audience. That would be the feeling of being like a puppet, being a marionette for the system. So that is what reading number 1, that's what you're saying goodbye to. That's huge, by the way. We could end the whole reading right there. In your third card position, you have the King of Pentacles in the upright position. Yes, reading number 2, all your cards are in the upright position. Yes, I do read reversals around here, but all your cards are in the upright position. So congratulations to you. More than anything, I just feel like when cards are all in the upright position, naturally, they really denote sort of a calmness and a steadiness to the energy in that reading. So overall, I mean, this reading is like the word I've got someone's guide going, you have arrived. You have arrived. It just goes to show you that even though like astrologers and energy readers can describe, the energy of a period like the eclipse we had this week and Mercury going into retrograde and some of the planets starting to go retrograde, like that. It's about your individual experience, and it's also about the work that you have put in. And y'all have been putting in the work in this reading over many months, and you're reaping the rewards of it. And you go with you. You go with you in a good book, or like, I don't know, needlepoint project. Oh, that's very specific. Someone's knitting. I don't know. There's some very specific things. And you go and you just have some time for you. I see a bunch of you like watching the TV, just clicking and watching like HBO in the hotel room, but it's just that time away. What it's doing for you is it's preparing you for the thing that's blooming in spring. Your Page of Wands is in the reversed aspect because there is a very real space making need here. This need for like making space to receive was real big in reading number 1 as well. I feel like this is a very big overarching universal thing that a lot of us are experiencing right now. So just know that, this is something that you may have also noticed with other people. So if you can notice it for yourself, if you can be connected to yourself enough to notice that, how it shows up for you, you will be really ahead of the game here. You aren't going to win every single, practice battle match. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes, and you don't get better at being a better warrior without getting in the arena and practicing. There is this need to get in there. There's like this, I'm seeing and hearing so many things. It's like, for some of you, it's a fear of, well, what if I look stupid? For others, there's this sort of this like overwhelmed thing going on with like, oh, then I have to pay attention to all these people. And the answer is, well, yeah, if you want to be a warrior in the arena, you do have to pay attention to them, because if you don't pay attention to them, someone's going to smack you on the backside of the head, whether you like it or not. And you can stand around and hold your stick and just be like, well, I'm just going to stand here. But if they're all moving around, eventually you're going to have to move. It doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you don't make bad decisions. It just means that you have more to pull from, and you're also not frenetic. You'll notice that his posture sitting here in the chair is very relaxed, very comfortable being in this position. You'll also notice the signs of Taurus here on the throne, and we are now in Taurus season 2, which I think is really cool that this shows up here like that. In Taurus, energy is so much about, giving yourself those daily luxuries and like really enjoying, the fruits of the earth and the fruits of your labor, and all of that is just so much about payoff in this. And so you have arrived, and what's happening during this time period is like, treat yourself, relax a little, enjoy yourself, so that you can have the dialogue to really tune into what comes next. And I think that's super great for you. I love it. What a fantastic reading. Be wildly imperfect about the words that you find. The goal here isn't perfection. The goal here is progress, to move forward with it. There are some of you where listening to this reading is going to give you this like aha moment, and you discover that you have not been fully aware of the need to make that change. It's like, well, because I've always had a milkshake after dinner every day of the week. God, I hope not. That's a lot of milkshakes. But you've had a milkshake every day of the week after dinner, and you really don't like them anymore, and they haven't been feeling good in your body, but you just keep doing it because that's what I've always done. that energy is dying out very quickly. And because you're so unattached to it, it's not going to hurt if it gets removed for you by the universe's collective energy. But at the same time, the gift of being able to find conscious articulation around that learned lesson is a major power tool. Your Ace of Wands is new beginnings, it's fire energy, it's creativity. Doing that digging work allows you to unblock that in such a profound way. It's so exciting because it's taking you into the where are you going in the journey path. And the reason why Strength is in reverse and it's not in the upright position is because that deeper work just isn't done yet. And I don't think that that's like a horrible place to be. I think it's like a very human place to be. It's a sign of like movement and progress. I mean, it's all over this reading, the energy. It's like I'm bathing in progress, and I love that. But this energy is huge. This is gorgeous energy. This is major arcana. This is being able to be one with the chaos and the beast and not be afraid of it. They're calm and they're both facing in the same direction. Like they're both looking forward into the future. That is a gorgeous energy. You just need a moment to like literally collect yourself, stand up, dust yourself off after sliding it safe into home, and just to have a minute to breathe. Like we all need a minute to breathe. And the reminder of your goodness is that you're giving yourself a little bit of that chance. And I feel like I'm getting some kind of information about some people where I think you're getting a lot of like, it feels like external chatter. It doesn't feel like it's coming from inside of you. It feels like external chatter of like, kind of this sort of like, chop, chop, come on. Or like people are shooting on you, but it's their shit that they're putting on you. And it's like, no, this doesn't belong to me. That does not belong to you. You're allowed to like take a beat. You're allowed to enjoy looking at the number in your bank account if it's about money. You're allowed to enjoy looking at like your beautifully organized shelves if it's like, you have a fully stocked kitchen and you grew up with a lot of food scarcity or something, like it's like you have gone from a scarcity place to a more abundant place. And being able to take a moment and just really enjoy it for yourself, really enjoy it for you. And that there's nothing wrong with that. All paths lead to the same place. I've had so many channeling sessions and so many readings with people. This message has been like a universal thing for my whole reading career. And it's like all paths do lead to the same place. But just like when you hike, you know that some paths are long routes and some paths are short routes. But it doesn't matter what path you're on. They will all take you towards the same direction. The question for you is like, what kind of adventure do you really want to be on? There's been sort of this discourse that's been happening lately. People seem to want like a shorter path. And so I feel like this is kind of speaking to you here in this reading where it's like, well, like it doesn't have to be like warp speed from point A to point B, but like, I think I'd kind of like it to be a little faster. I don't think I want to take entirely the like super scenic route where we go all the way around. There is a need to accept that the sun is shining for you. There's a resistance on that. And that's related to this at the beginning, the unarticulated thoughts and feelings. Though the articulation of those things helps you kind of tie it up like a nice bow on top of the package so that you can finish moving through it. But as long as it stays in the unarticulated space, you end up very prone to staying like this. And the truth is the dialogue you're having with your higher self is everything you need. It's everything you need. You're in such a great position to literally like burst forward with the next thing. What I am hearing from the spirit side is that feeling of like bursting forward into the new dawn can feel like, oh my God, am I going to be even more exhausted? And the truth, they're like, no, this is the point where you have the dialogue and you articulate it. You already know. You know what the decision is. You know what you have to do. It just has to be done. It just has to be done. Someone's guide is like, isn't it funny? Like, it's it's actually a really simple reading. I'm like, yeah, it kind of is, I've just flipped all the cards upright just to kind of see them in motion. And I love how these two at the beginning are really having a dialogue with each other. Your Queen of Swords is motioning to your Two of Pentacles. It's like she's got the awareness and knowledge that's required, and she's passing the message along to the action taker, the person who's doing that part of you're doing this, the Two of Pentacles, who's now gone from a state of indecision to a state of like, let me put these vehicles in motion so that we can make a critical decision and just, get a move on. To work into being the authority in your own life. Your Six of Cups energy has a lot to do with like memories and nostalgia. I do feel like this quarter is going to bring up a lot of stuff where it's like, I'm hearing a whole bunch of phrases. One of them is like, but I used to, the big one, first one is, but I used to do it like fill in the blank. And there's just sort of this incredulity, like, but I used to, like, how dare the world change that I can't do it that way anymore. And they're like, yeah, it changed. It changed. But there's also this very sweet quality to it. And I love the way this artist has done the Six of Cups in this deck, because there's this very sweet quality of remembrance, of honoring what had happened, giving thanks, giving gratitude. That's also a really big energy in this too. But it's early days, and there are going to be things that come up. There are going to be things that come up which are going to be so deeply healing. On the one hand, it could be the shadow aspect of Emperor is like getting into that controlling space where you're like, it's manipulative. It's manipulative energy where you're like, well, if I just bait them with this thing, then they'll just buy it. It's the old funnel tactics. I feel like we're saying goodbye to this in general. If some of you have like funnels that aren't working, where it utilizes like squeeze tactics, where it's like the time is running out, the clock is ticking, like hurry, hurry, hurry. And your audience is like, ugh, like they're clearly not enjoying this. It might backfire a little bit right now. Like it's time to let it go. Let's figure out a new way to do it. The other side of the shadow coin for Emperor is the Emperor themselves being manipulated like a marionette, like the society around them. There's so many strings that come from this Emperor in order to like be at the helm, but they're not in control. And so they become like a marionette puppet to the structure and the controls around them. I feel like that applies to like someone very specifically. That part. For when you need a good cry, it's like there's this exhaustion in here. It's a happy exhaustion, but it's also just like plain old tiredness. And it's one of those things where you've just got to keep going. And sometimes you just need to have a moment with yourself where, oh, this is inner child work. Okay, I'm feeling this so much now. There is a part of you that needs to like literally have a tea party with your inner child self. Maybe you do it literally, maybe you do it figuratively, but you're having a tea party or cocktail hour, whatever it is, right? But you're creating a space for yourself where you can honor what that version of you wanted for you, because it still lives inside of you. And sometimes it can be hard to like stay true to that, stay pure with that. Sometimes it can be hard to fully honor it. You are, by the way, fully honoring it. But when you're really busy and literally in the weeding, and you're doing the work, sometimes you forget how amazing you've honored. You can't create in a state of fight or flight. You can't create in a state of pure survival. That at that point, you're just surviving. You just got to figure out how to survive. So figure out how to create that base level of security. Those of you who've seen my signature talk, you know that I love using Maslow's hierarchy of needs alongside the chakra system. And when you get to that base level of Maslow's hierarchy with your root chakra, you get into this space of, are my base needs covered? Am I just purely surviving. There's this great t-shirt that's floating around on Instagram ads right now, and it says surviving purely out of spite. And I'm so tempted to get it. But like, is that how you're existing right now? And if it is, then there's no space for creativity. And so she's asking you, how do you romance your mind? And for a lot of you, I feel like there's a lot of good feeling in this reading. But there's still that need to make sure that baseline is cleaned up. If you're not even comfortable in your own body, how is your energy going to feel comfortable on the receiving end to someone else? So like, to let go of that disconnection from self is a way of letting in what you actually want. We can talk about letting in connection to self, but we also hang on to the disconnection. And I think that's really where this is coming from. That's really deep. I didn't expect those words to come out. It's the letting go of the disconnection that you cling to, so that you can actually make space for the true connection you do want. Yeah. It might even be, I feel like there's somebody saying that for one of you, the release, the letting go is like there's this clinging feeling of clinging onto a vision of yourself, or a version of yourself, or a hope for yourself that never really transpired. But that isn't true anymore. You cannot take everything with you. So what do you leave behind? I don't get the feeling that it's a sad thing, and I don't feel like you're giving anything up. It's literally a nostalgic thing of like, okay, I'll tell you a real life story. It's because I've moved so many times. I'm being shown something that I know that I can relate. My whole life I've struggled with weight fluctuations. And I used to move with like boxes of clothing that were of various sizes. And eventually, like many moves ago, I finally just like gave up the ghost and donated stuff that wasn't even in fashion anymore. I was never going to wear it anymore. The sizes were like really weird, and they didn't fit well to begin with. Even when I did fit into them at whatever that size was, they still didn't fit quite right. And when I let them go, not only did I save a lot of money on shipping costs, but it gave me more space to do new things. Shit or get off the pot. It's like, just make the fucking decision. And you have the information, you know what you need to do. You just need to make the move. And I heard with this card before I hit record, they're like, somebody needs to just have the hard conversations. There's a couple of you where you just need to rip the Band-Aid off, have the difficult conversation. It's so interesting because reading number 1 had this a little bit too. But especially for you guys, this feeling of uncomfortableness, it's not uncomfortable in the like, ew, gross, oh, this hurts. It's uncomfortable in the, I don't really have strong skills in this area. I'm not doing it wrong. It's not wrong to do this. I just don't have a lot of skill and ability. So it feels like, if you remember learning to ride a bike, like you're kind of wobbly at first, but you're up, you're not falling over, but you're up, but it's kind of wobbly. In the traditional tower card, people are like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's so pretty. It's that state of awe and wonder. The things that got you here are not going to get you there. That is really the main point. The note from the universe with your 6 of Cups on the end, by the way, came out looking like this. And this is so much about nostalgia and memory and remembering things. And I feel like they go very much together. In order to gain your new footing in this new energetic cycle, you by default have to examine the past. It's going to bring up feelings. It's going to bring up memories. Some of them are beautiful, and some of them are going to hurt a little bit. There's going to be things that just need to be destroyed. They just need to come down. Some of them are things where you're like, yeah, I'm ready. done, and then some of them are things where you're like, you have this nostalgic feeling like, oh man, I remember when that worked so well. There is this very interesting note happening here in this deck, because it's very modern, and our hermit is got their hand on a laptop, and every time I see this, always, is it open? Is it closed? Is it open? Is it closed? Never gets old. The feeling that I get of needing energetic space also includes energetic space from people online. Does this mean you check out and you just like don't read any more emails and you don't pay attention to like whatever social channel? No, that's so patriarchal. Yes or no? Like this is a both and world. Intentional space. That account you follow where you're like hate following, just stop, close it. That's one, close it. But that one where that person has opened your mind to some, new way of approaching things that helps you feel better physically better. Turn it on, open it up. Binge those videos, binge that YouTube channel or whatever, if something brings you joy, engage with it. There's this huge cacophony of chatter behind me, and everyone is just like, yes, it's joy. As soon as this card fell out, by the way, all I heard was spoiled for choice. There's a little bit of a focusing thing going on. There's a fixation happening with like one thing when you have a lot of other really great things. Time is such a big factor right now because the pace of time is shifting right now. And for you, the weakness area as Jupiter is navigating through Taurus is so much about like if these were, when you go to like a hotel or whatever and they have like the clocks on the wall with like all the different time zones around the world. And it's like you have that in all of the things you're working on in your business too. What you have to decide is which of these time zones is the one that I need to operate in right now. There's something about time for you. Sometimes, 12 months in the grand scheme of things is really not that long. It feels like it, but not that long. So in the clarity position with the Queen of Swords, first of all, I love that she came out in the clarity position because for me, especially in this deck, when I read from it, this Queen of Swords is so much about mental clarity. So the Sword Suite is air. It's about the air element. It's about, the mental faculties. And in this particular deck, back in the day, like I swear I like memorized the book. And Zach Wong wrote a really beautiful piece about this particular card. And he described the Queen of Swords in terms of romancing the mind. And I feel like when you're getting clarity on something, you are really romancing your own mind. It's like if you were to take your mind on a date and you were going to woo your date, woo your own mind with what lights you up. And so you want to like put things into perspective. This card, this energy, this archetype energy will want you to feel as if it's so drastically different that, you know what, you should just go back to zero. It's just safer there. It's just better. And the urging from spirit is no, be brave, claim it, claim the thing that you want. And you're starting at zero and you're going to go to 5 miles an hour. And that 5 miles an hour mathematically is the same amount as going from 55 to 60, but they feel different because the momentum is different. And when you're starting from like a dead stop, it is going to feel a little weird. So, but there's like nothing negative in this feeling. It's a very cool feeling. I hope I've described it well enough for you. I encourage you to, really explore that this week and figure out, like, take it from the unconscious to that conscious state of like, where is this coming from? Like all things in this world, there are cycles and seasons. So, you can have the growth to the happy family moment. You can work your way through that whole journey to the 10. In numerology, from 1 to 10, we're going all the way to the 10. 10 is the number of completion. And I feel like you've hit a completion point. And now you are moving into this phase of really deep, higher connection to yourself. This is where that Lover's card from the bottom of the deck popped in. Okay. The Lovers. I don't do relationship readings around here. So, that's not what we're talking about. But the Lovers, if you want to get real technical about it, is, the card of Gemini. One of the cards for Gemini inside the deck. Gemini, as an astrological sign and energy, an archetype, is about the duality. You can think of it as the connection between you and your higher self, you and your angels, you and your higher guides. Somebody like frantically running around the countryside beating a drum, and they're like, I'm beating my drum. And they're just like drenched in sweat, and they're just exhausted. And it's like, no, what town or village or little hut do you need to go beat your drum and tell people that you're there? Like, be intentional about it. This came up in the June energy report. I'm going to encourage you to go in the newsletter, click the link to watch the YouTube video for the week. But that came up. Intentionality is so huge right now. It's the number one theme of the month, for June. Because like the place you beat your drum might be a private community where like only this like small subset of people are really going to know about you, but you beat your drum and they love your music, they love your rhythm, and you develop those relationships with them, instead of just like beating your drum out into the void. I keep seeing this image too of like, there are all these people out there and they're beating their drums and they're all like standing on the edge of a cliff. So it's about things moving quickly. And I love that in this deck, she has this motorcycle rider. What's really funny? In the last reading, they had the chariot, and the chariot in this deck is drawn on a motorcycle. So all y'all have this feeling of like vehicles and moving and like doing something, going somewhere. And the Eight of Wands in particular is, you can see these wands, and they have this like movement that's, and the clouds are around it, and it's sort of like they're flying through the air like arrows. And the note from Spirit is like, first of all, it's not about comparing yourself to what other people's speed is. That is not this. What this is comparing your own speed. So if you've been moving like a turtle and you move just 1 mile per hour tick faster, you have done something for yourself that is highly impactful and takes you from the reversed aspect of the world to the upright position, which means this is now possible. So you need to figure out the timing on the things that you're offering and really figure out what time zone are you operating in. In your strengths position with abundance, I love that the moon is here. The moon has also been showing up in a ton of readings lately. The thing I keep getting the feeling of for you in reading number 2 is just that you really, kudos to you. You're really trusting that just the amount that you are being given in terms of information is exactly what you need to take action on right now. We're not being given a whole long runway of vision right now on purpose, because the collective is going through so many big shifts and changes right now that if you had too much vision ahead, too much intuitive vision ahead, you would plan for the wrong things and then you'd be like way off course. So, because by the time you got to that ahead point, like everything would be completely different. And then you'd be like, why am I here? For the other 50%, it's this feeling of like still needing to go in and examine, like go deeper. So, in business, and in coaching, there's a practice called the 5 whys, which you've probably heard of if you've been doing, any programs. But you ask yourself why deeper and deeper multiple times. You'll find this practice exists in a whole bunch of different modalities. Like if anybody's ever done hypnosis or theta healing is very much like hypnosis. And there's this process called digging, and you dig down to the root statement, because we're so good at masking, all of us, that we will say things and then somebody will say, oh, but really, how do you feel? And then you'll say something that's a little bit more honest, but it's still got all these onion skins layered on top. And so the idea is to like remove those one by one. And you can ask yourself 5 whys in a row. And I don't know why 5 whys works so well, but it does. Bitch, did you not see all the work that I did? Did you not see, like, it's the blood, the sweat, the tears, and it's become the story. It's become the story that you're using. And the story is still definitely a part of your history. It is still completely valid, but it's become a story. And I've got all kinds of commentary that are coming in telling me things for you, like, it's time to like release that story. It's like, it's time to start telling a new story. There's new stuff. There's really good stuff. And some of it actually isn't even new. It's like, it's related to this like reconnection to self part. But it's like, but the refrain that keeps getting put out, in a business sense, this could be a piece of branding. It could be like something as, what seems kind of boring, but it's actually pretty powerful, like your about story. You know how sometimes people will like kind of tell the same thing over and over. Does it mean that you're done with it? No. But I do feel like you have a lot more emotional skills that you didn't have when you started, say, January 1st. There's a clarity at the end of the first quarter that was not present at the beginning of the first quarter. And what it does is that enables you to sail, because he's sailing, right? It allows you to sail right into the 6 of Cups energy, which is again, Cups energy. So we're back to the middle of the hero's journey of Cups, of the emotional journey. So it's like having gone through one round of work and then now going back and like getting stronger at this one area where it's like, okay, I've done the survey, I've looked at everything, and now I see where the stopgap is. So in the tarot, a little tarot lesson. Some of you are tarot nerds like me. And so you know that the tarot is split into 2 halves. You've got your major arcana cards and you've got your minor arcana. Your minor arcana include things like the Cup suite. It's just like a deck of playing cards. It goes from Ace through King, and there's 4 different suites. Cups is one of them. And the Cups energy is all about emotions and feelings, all those gooey spaces. And that's your Cups energy. And your Cups energy in quarter 1 makes so much sense. There was a whole lot of emoting and feeling going on in quarter 1. Oh my goodness. I'm also seeing as we like hit into quarter 2, like this past week, some people were like in it. They were feeling all kinds of things. I was seeing it everywhere. It was wild. I even saw it at the grocery store. I'm not lying. I saw it at the grocery store. And I just feel like quarter 1 was so much about hitting that maturation point, because, you know, your King energy, if you go from Ace through King in the suite of Cups or any of the suites, you're doing the hero's journey. The gold star at the end is your 10 of Pentacles, and it is legacy. This is considered one of the happy family cards. That's one of the nicknames. And 10 of Pentacles, you know, the number 10 is a number of completion. It is getting to like the completion of that journey path. Pentacles, many of you know, I've been hanging around here, getting a lot of Pentacles in these readings, which is great. It's earth energy. It could have to do with money and abundance. I always feel with the 10 of Pentacles, that's definitely woven into this because of the legacy aspect. But also it has a lot to do with the grounding energy of the earth element, being fully rooted and grounded, at peace with your root chakra, at peace with all the crap you've inherited from your ancestral line, all that stuff, right? And being able to move forward in a new, mature expression of all that. This is that work that takes you there. Someone's guide is like, correction, it is not comfortable right now. I'm like, okay, it's not comfortable right now. It's not comfortable. It is necessary. It is necessary. But this Knight of Cups in reverse this is the unarticulated spaces. Cups is all about emotions. And I don't know who on this reading's clicking, but there's this like, like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to have to go there. And the big note on your reading overall is like, this is personal. So, okay, whoever's clicking on this reading, you've had this feeling like you have to tell everybody everything, or you have to somehow incorporate what you're going through as part of like your marketing or your messaging, or that kind of thing, branding. And the fact is, the answer is no. No. This is very personal. There are things that you are allowed to process for you, and you kind of need to like finish going on that journey. I'm going to move this ship forward. And I think that is badass energy. And that is what you're coming back to in yourself. You have the capability of seeing things differently. You're not wet behind the ears anymore. You know some things. And because you know some things, you can do something with them now. Do you know everything? No. But nobody knows everything. So why not be the creative person that you are? And by the way, the swords energy is a lot to do with cognitive abilities. It's very strategic. There is a lot of strategy in this energy of this card position this week. And I'm hearing from somebody that somebody is like, somebody's guys are like, they totally like downplay their ability to build strategy, or you'll second guess yourself, or you'll think, oh no, I'm going to step on someone's toes or something. There's some of that going on too. And everything is like, no, pick those swords up and go, like take them, all I can think is like cheese. So if you say sell cheese, don't give away all your wheels of cheese, but like maybe there are little samples or something that you can give that are packaged beautifully and given with a lot of care and a lot of attention. And it's a way for you to truly like give back. Like, how do you give back? Because when you think about giving, it enables you to also figure out how you bring in more. And God, this is so interesting, because then you get into your third card with the marketing message for reading number 2. And we have another big major arcana energy. We have temperance. So here's temperance. And temperance is, it's funny because I wore like play on like biblical saying shirt with like the me 24/7. All I can hear is like turning water into wine kind of thing. But you're really transmuting energy. So it's like when you look at the water, it's like, well, is it flowing down or is it flowing up? The interesting thing is what you need more of is your world card in reverse. The world is stunning. The world is the end of the hero's journey in the major arcana. It's having gone to the milestone and the point where you set your sights on originally, which starts with the Fool card at the very beginning. And the fact that it is in reverse tells me, like, I just kept hearing all these words coming at me when your cards came out. And so one of them was like, she doesn't believe it. Another one was, he can't see it. Another one was, like they deny it constantly. Like they go back to what they know. They go back to the same pattern, the same habit. It's like every time you like move forward a little, and it's this like timid, tiptoey kind of feeling of like making some change or some movement. And you just can't quite get to that goal, to that point. The most mature version of this energy. And it means that, you are ready. You are ready for the full project. You are ready for the full expression of you. It's very personal, very, very personal because of this, this work. It's very personal. And then in your, invitation from spirit for action, you've got this high priestess. And it's so much like it's this feeling of like your fairy godmother's calling you and you just refuse to pick up the phone. Your fairy godmother is like, excuse me, like, dink, 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 I'm calling you. Can you please pick up? The action you're being invited to take is, I love that she's on a laptop. It's like, pick up the Zoom call, like, take the meeting. Have that conversation that you're already having, but you're kind of like dancing around it or not really like paying full attention to, and like, just let it all soak in. Let it all soak in. It's like taking yourself by letting go of the past connections that don't totally serve this new energy. The moon energy is so much about your intuitive spaces and trusting that what you see just the next few steps in front of you is something that you can handle, that you can do. With this in reverse for you, I'm feeling that for you all here inside of reading number 2, that the feeling, the action, the thing that you've been doing is avoiding somebody's calling it a heart project, avoiding the thing that really lights you up, that really is this King of Wands energy, in favor of sort of just sticking with the same old, same old. Why do I feel like we had this reading last week in this position? Am I remembering this correctly? That term same old just made me remember that. There's this feeling of like when the king is upright and the moon is upright, you'll notice that these cards, they're engaging with each other. The animals are engaging with each other. The energies, like the figures, are actually looking at each other. There's a dialogue happening here. When they're in reverse, like this, I say we have entirely preventable emergencies. That's the difference between things happening to us. Like, oh my gosh, it's an emergency. It's like, it's not really an emergency. Like, you could have fixed it 6 months ago. You just chose not to. So like, we want to make sure that we don't end up in that. That's what we're trying not to do. But there's at least one of you who just needs straight up quiet time. I don't know if you need to drive yourself to the spa or like a beach getaway or like something. I don't know. But I think that would be good for you. The rest of you, which is the majority, is just like boss pants firmly on. Congratulations to you. And being simply aware of these qualities just strengthens that gathering that you're already doing. And that's really, really profound. More than one of you are afraid that by taking what you would call an extended rest almost feels like death of the project, death of the motivation, death of the momentum, death of the manifestation. And that's just not the truth. There is the word recalibration keeps coming up. Like, there is a recalibration that is happening, but your gift is in this moon card, and you've been like over focused on looking for something in the limited visual distance that you have, so to speak. Being over focused on things that actually don't have anything to do with you. They're not meant for you. They're not for you. They don't have a lot of benefit for you. Newsflash. No one is getting a far vantage right now. So the moon energy is exactly right. The moon gives you just enough light to see where you're going so you don't trip over your feet, so that you can make a couple of steps ahead really good decisions. Like, a couple of you just like take things out of the box and you're just like, well, why doesn't work for me? And it's like you have to customize it. You have to make things fit your life, fit your mood. That's a big one. Fit your mood, fit your capacity, your abilities, fit your circumstances. And and it's so much like, this is such a big lesson. This is why your world is in reverse, in the tidying up the energy of, this last cycle, because it's all in taking your power back. It's all in, and that's been coming up a lot in, in a lot of spaces in the past week, which I don't think is any coincidence, just given like the collective cycle that we're all in. But yeah, it's reclaiming your, it's just a bunch of words. These are like a lot of words of the zeitgeist right now. Reclaiming your agency, reclaiming your sovereignty, reclaiming your autonomy, all of those kinds of things. But it's almost like, even though you can drive and you got the driver's license, you know the road, exactly, all the information, everything, and you're like, but do I? And all of this energy is like, yes, you do. And now it's time. Yes, you do. Now it's time. And you're going to do it a little differently. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. And I think that is so cool. But that ability to do it differently, that is uniquely you. It has you written all over it. It's not someone else's formula. It's not someone else's, words or anything being put on you. It is you putting out your magic into the world. And I think that is just stunning. I love the readings this week. They are very cool. Yeah. Spend some time cheering yourself on. I'm getting one final note. Someone in here, you spend so much time cheering on all these other people, and then you kind of give yourself the leftovers. Your page has been really good to you, though, I have to say. Like, the Pentacles is the earth element. It is, being really grounded. Your page cards tend to be a lot about like messengers and getting divine downloads. Those words specifically keep coming in, like they've had divine downloads. I don't know that you're done yet fully processing all of them. And I feel like there's a few. You'll notice she's wearing a backpack in this card, and it's really popping out to me right now. I feel like some of you, it's almost like you haven't finished unpacking the pack. So it's sort of like, let's not put the cart before the horse. Like, there's this urgency, there's this desire to like, come on, let's go. There's a lot of movement between the energy on these two cards. There's so much of this like, let's go, let's move. And I'm like, I'm right there with you, y'all. But it's like, whoa. Okay. The root reason, the Chariot. I mean, y'all had your big person panties on last week, which is awesome. You were like doing things and making decisions. The card description for this deck literally says she's ready for battle. Everything has a light and a shadow aspect. On the light side, I'm like, congratulations to you for like being prepared and not being afraid to like have the hard conversation, make that difficult decision, or at least start the process of those kinds of things. On the shadow aspect, which is where this stuff shows up, it's not really big, but I am being told that there's like, especially one person in particular, where it's like there's this fine line between being really assertive and then just like looking to pick a fight.